All right, hey guys, Dahbadu here. So I have another build video for you. This one is for an Invoker monk. Invoker monks are still incredibly strong, and this specific version of an Invoker monk basically made it through the patch with almost no nerfs whatsoever and actually got some significant buffs. So this is actually my starter from last league. It's an Ice Strike monk that also uses Flicker Strike. You got Storm Wave, and yeah, it's pretty strong. Also, importantly, it's cast on crit, and it uses elemental expression. So, for example, let's just go here. You know, most of the monks last league were going up over here, and they were taking also I Shall Rage. I wasn't doing that. I did this, 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 and this. So this is the setup that I had last league, and it's actually stronger than it was last league due to a couple of significant changes. So one, they increased the damage on elemental expression, I think by 40% at all levels, they said. And also, what is really cool is I don't think it takes mana anymore to cast these things. So when they were proccing last league, they took mana up. Doesn't take mana up anymore. And so, you know, I made two builds last league. One was that Siphoning Strike monk, which was kind of like my secret build that I was working on. And, you know, I released a build video for that, you know, earlier this new league. It's still a pretty strong build. That actually kind of got nerfed more than this build, believe it or not. So my Siphoning Strike build was actually stronger last league comparative to this build. But now this build is stronger. So again, I guess, you know, Invokers reign supreme. But also something I'm going to want to be testing out is I kind of want to take this build, this kind of cast on crit build that I have, and I want to make it a Chayula monk this league. So that's kind of my next iteration. And now we can respec, right? So, or they're planning to let us respec. So, you know, if you try the Siphoning Strike, you can Edgelord monk, you can always, you know, respec over to Invoker and try this build out, vice versa, or whatever, mix and match. So, I don't know. I think monks are in a really good spot. You know, they're not the new hotness right now. It's like Amazons and like, you know, runesmiths and stuff like that or whatever. But monks are still incredibly strong, at least when you build them specific ways. And yeah, there's still some of the strongest starters out there, especially, you know, these two builds that I'm showing off right now. So I just want to, this character is currently in standard, but all of the items are legal that I have, okay? These are all legal items. I did try dividing my belt earlier today. It was a big whiff. So guys, just FYI, you know, if you have some items in standard, you have some belts in standard, and you want to try to get more charm slots on them, don't waste divines on your old belts. It won't increase the charm slots via implicit, so it won't change it that way. So just FYI. But yeah, all this gear is legal. And, you know, there's nothing legacy about this character. Now, compared to the gear that I showed off yesterday on my Siphoning Strike build, overall this gear is a bit stronger. Like, so for example, if I had this helmet and this body armor, you know, yesterday for my other build, like, it would have been nicer. But it's on here, and as you can see, like, I have a pretty significant, you know, energy shield pool. And let's see, what's my evasion? My evasion's pretty good too as well. So I just want to basically run a map. Hopefully we'll get a T17, and I can show off how this build is still very, very competitive, and it's also relatively cheap. The only unique item it uses is just the porcupine ring. Everything else are just rares, okay? But like I said, the gear on this build is fancier gear than I had on my Siphoning Strike. Like, I would say overall, this is at least several divines worth of gear. Maybe 10 divines total when you include everything. I think my quarterstaff on my Siphoning Strike monk is better than this quarterstaff, but this is fine as well. So let me, I just want to talk over what you're looking for, the gear that you're looking for. All of this will be reflected in the Mobalytics Guide, and I'm just going to go run some maps live and see what happens. So let's just go over the quarterstaff. So you're going to want to get probably a Sinister quarterstaff because it has a high base crit chance. You know, get as much physical damage on it as you can. You know, there are fancier suffixes that you can get, but usually those fancier suffixes, you know, come at a premium, like attack speed or, you know, crit multi or, you know, skill gems. You know, if you can get them, great. But you know, I'm not Mr. Big Money. So this is kind of a nice, like, I don't know, I'd say 5-div quarterstaff, 4-div quarterstaff. I'm not sure. I bought it for like 2 divs and I crafted it up. I like slammed it like once or twice and got some luck and maybe put chaos on it or something. But anyways, you know, this is what you're looking for the hat. You're going to want to have, you know, basically flat mana, a high evasion and energy shield, and resistances. You know, crit chance is nice in there as well, but doesn't matter too much. You know, what's important is to cap your resistances. Now, this is your amulet. What you're looking for is getting spirit on your amulet. This build runs a decent amount of spirit skills. So you're going to need to have at least like 190 spirit or 180 spirit, okay? So that's what you're shooting for, and that means you're going to need to get spirit here, and you're going to need to get spirit here in good rolls, okay? I'd probably say all attributes are also nice, and, you know, energy shield, that's good. You know, evasion's good on here. Resistances, stats, whatever. You put a porcupine, you know, ring on. Chaos resistance is nice. You know, I'm not a Chayula monk, so I actually have to work on getting my chaos resistance on this build. I'm not fully capped yet, but I'm just going to be playing, you know, a new character. I just showing this off. Now, so you got that ring. This is also something you're going to want to get. You know, in terms of the ring type, an unset would actually be ideal because you could put another skill in even. Maybe like Hand of Chayula or something else. I'd probably put Hand of Chayula if I had an unset ring that was good enough. But what you're looking for is, you know, flat mana, mana regen, resistances, dexterity. Now, in terms of flat damage, probably the best flat damage you want to work into monk builds, mainly just to take advantage of the Tempest spell and get tri-ele effects, is fire. And making sure you get sources of flat fire on this build is important, not just because it's nice and it, you know, catches your Tempest spell on fire, but because how you're spec'd on the tree. You're grabbing this echoing flame up here, and so it's expected that this character can basically always, you know, shit out all the different elemental types, okay? So that's fire is basically the best flat damage that you can add to this build because you do already a ton of lightning and cold damage. You know, crit damage bonus is nice on the gloves. Attack speed's nice on the gloves. Just get what you want. Again, attributes and resistances take priority over, you know, fancier affixes like, you know, more damage, crit chance, etc. You got to make sure you have your attributes and resistances first. Again, flat mana on there as well. As you can see, all the items again are a bit fancier than my Siphoning Strike build. Now this belt's kind of but you'd want one with probably, you know, more charms basically. There's the boots as well. So you see I have a lot of high flat mana rolls on all of these things. Okay, reduced ignite duration is nice, and also reduced freeze duration are nice suffixes to have in these 2 slots, I would suggest. Okay, so let's go over the skills and how you want to start this character. So you would start from here and just go up and grab this stuff over here. And then go here, 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 grab this. Don't get the crit stuff, don't come up here yet. Get this stuff, come up here, get this stuff for the stats and everything. Come up over here, grab this stuff for the stats, get this. By this point in the campaign, you'll probably get Combat Frenzy, so get Resonance as well, especially if you're freezing monsters at that point in time. And come up over here, grab this. Very similar to my Siphoning Strike build as well. Come up over here. Probably want to get this, especially if you have a significant amount of energy shield or if you're using a Ghost Right during the campaign. What this lets you do is you can just, when you're quaffing your flask, I like having my flask on V and B, and I like having my hotkeys on ASDF. I like having my fingers rest on kind of that main typing row, and I like having all of my hotkeys around ASDF so I can easily press them to cut down on reaction times. You know, come up over here, grab this stuff as well. This will let you another source of ignoring enemy resistances. You're freezing stuff all the time. So these 2 things are very, very strong. Flat crit chance or increased crit chance is relatively better than crit damage on this build, just because when you do crit monsters, you know, you ignore their enemy resistances and you shoot out these elemental expressions or these, you know, icy waves and other things as well. It's very, very fun. And I have some tech in here to make these things freeze even better. And they create this lovely chilled ground, which is also really nice because you have this porcupine ring and there's a lot of chilled ground on this character, and just with one herald, which is Herald of Ice, there's still a lot of fun explosions and undeath explosions and a lot of people shattering with this build, or a lot of monsters shattering. So, and then you can come down here and grab this stuff, In terms of the anointment that you're going to get on your amulet, your dex on this build, unless you can get really good gear, probably isn't going to be that high to really utilize Falcon technique, and you're going to probably want to get some attack speed somehow. So here is a nice thing to get, Sand in the Eyes. This is it's kind of an expensive anoint, but it's not the most expensive. So what I would do for anointments is you go High Alert, which is I think over here somewhere. High Alert, yeah, that's a really cheap anointment to get. You can put that on there. As soon as you get an amulet that's worth more than this anointment itself, which takes 3 despair. So as soon as you get an amulet that's worth more than 3 despairs, and has the stats that you need, has the spirit to power this character, this is the anointment that you're probably going to want to get. Sand in the Eyes. And beyond Sand in the Eyes, another anointment that you can get are some of the anointments up here. They're more expensive though, so it's like Arcane Surge. So this is an anointment that could be useful on this build because mana, you are going to go through mana, but it's not as bad as it was last league because Elemental Expression apparently doesn't cost any mana. But here's something that I could recommend as another anointment, and here is something else that I could recommend as another anointment. But this, yeah, I like the attack speed, so I would just suggest this. And before you can afford this one, you can always use High Alert as a budget option. Other budget option is First Approach as well. Okay. All right. So let's see here. And I'll go over all of the support gems that I have in the Mobalytics Guide. This is the gem setup that I'm using. I have more 6 links on this character than I had on my other character. It's useful also to get 6 link on Stormwave. You do use that once in a while with this build. Same with Tempest Belt, other things like that. But hey, it's fine. It's good enough. And let's try to get a T17 map right now, guys. I'm just going to run it live. Try to get lucky. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. Now let's see here. Let me try to... There's a bunch of juicy stuff down here. Come on, where's it? Oh, here we go. All right, there's a lot of stuff here, so let me just try running this. Hopefully I'll get lucky with... It doesn't have Burning Ground. So the affixes that you're worried about are basically Ignited Ground or Burning Ground. The other thing that you're worried about is reduced recovery of life and energy shield. Those are always annoying to deal with. I believe that those affect your flask as well. So that's what I would suggest avoiding. Also, in terms of my atlas that I have, this is kind of the atlas tree that I'm using. I'll have this also updated in the Mobalytics Guide. I tried these spirits out. I didn't really like them that much. And so I'm, just trying Rogue Exiles. That seems fun to fight Rogue Exiles. And, more precursor tablets along with this. Just to get as much, implicit effect that I can get as well on the maps. Just another source of that. That seems to be working out pretty well. And by doing this, you don't have to worry about buying that much stuff off trade because you're going to be more naturally getting your own precursor tablets. What? Where did it go? Can I just start the map? Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to edit this out. This bearing, is it right here? This is it, right? Okay, there it is. Let's go. All right, so this is standard. I am playing in Standard League, but this character is completely legal for 0.2. And yeah, this should be a fun map. Yes, it's a T17. All right, guys, let's... hopefully the recording doesn't fuck up like last time because... Oh. Well, yeah, that was a little spicy to start. It's always a little spicy to start to get your charge staff up. Probably the best thing to do is like just shoot out those things because those will... I'm not going to pick up too much loot while doing this. I'm just kind of gonna go through it. Might as well check that out. Boom, 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 boom. It's just, I don't know, it's still a really chill build to play. Okay. And because those elemental expressions don't, this build feels stronger than it felt last league, guys. Even with the Tempest Spell nerf, like I didn't even rely on Tempest Spell that much. And it's so good for bosses too. So this is actually, I would say this build right now is stronger than the Siphoning Strike build actually. Although last league I was different, believe it or not. There's a boss over here. No, oh, it's an Omniphobia. That was, okay, that was Omniphobia. Alright, cool. I don't know. Have I fought him before? Maybe. Is it him or her? I'm not sure. It's an it. It's probably an it. Okay. Wow. If this actually has high video quality, unlike yesterday, oh, it's going to look way better. Oh, here. So, you know, the different skills you have. You got a poker when you want to use the poker. It's nice. Honestly, you should probably start the map off using your Storm Wave, your poker, just to free some monsters and get some charges. What is this shit? Maybe I should try to play a little bit safer, not to die, because this is like the perfect... Got another T17 first try. And again, you can die on this build. I've actually died more on this build than my Siphoning Strike Chayula Monk, mainly because the Siphoning Strike Chayula Monk, for most of its life, had a bunch of energy shield based due to the pre-nerf Ghost Wraith. But... And also has, you know, that leech. That was pretty nice. Oh, I didn't get the bot. Well, I fought Omniphobia in the Delirium. I guess nothing showed up in the loot filter from the Delirium. Wasn't good enough. Okay, so checkpoint. Well, I'm gonna go chase down all of these monsters. Oh, is that the boss right there? Hey, buddy. Like, just... So, there you go. See, boss is just great, guys. And, like, my gear isn't, like, even as good as, like, the gear I see streamers with, you know, on their Invoker Monks last league. So this is just kind of... I think this gear is good. I would say it's good gear. Is it great gear? I would say good gear. So this is how the build's performing on a T17 map with good gear. And like I said, it's probably like several divines of investment. I'd probably say 10 divines. I took that a little careful because I didn't have my charge staff up. Now I get my charge staff up. Man, this is just so freezy. I love it. Just one herald. Don't have to run two. And maybe I'll show off my my flicker strike more. It's a really fun herald. Let's try it out. Oh boy. That was actually a little dangerous what I just did. That's probably stupid. I was hoping to get lucky and make it look really cool. Because but that could have gotten me killed if I got some bad luck there. Maybe. I don't know. I'm still playing, like I did a couple of maps with this build just to see how, ooh, yeah, let's do this. How it performed. And I really liked it. And so I'm still kind of getting used to it. It's literally been, you know, a couple of months since I've played this character for the most part. So I'm still building up muscle memory and stuff. So if you're interested in my Siphoning Strike build or this build, they're kind of interchangeable, really. And you can always respec and try them both out. Also, what I want to do, this room's really fun. Oh, this is a great map to get. All right, come on, guys. That was so cool. All right. So yeah, you got some tools. Basically, when do you use Flicker Strike? We'll use it in breaches. You just use it when there's a bunch of monsters on the screen, and it can jump you around. It can kind of get you out of trouble, and use it when you have some power charges. So that's when you use Flicker Strike. Other than that, you know, you just ice strike around, you poke people with Storm Wave. If you happen to have an unset ring, unlike poor Dahbadu over here, you know, you can get also like Hand of Chayula. I probably put what is it? Not Assassin's Mark in there. I don't know. I probably put the mark that generates power charges, because it's really, you know, I don't probably only use the Hand of Chayula on bosses, just to get that power chart. Basically, bosses without bosses when you just start the fight without any charges. So basically, because you really, when fighting bosses, like a lot of people have been playing Invokers for a while, so they know, but it's really nice to have your charge staff up ASAP, and so, you know, you just, that's what I would do. But you don't need it. I found that when I had Hand of Chayula in this build and I was using an unset ring, like I used it like once a map. Once this build got to a certain power level, like I never used it. So, yeah. But as you can see, like this build's still chill. It's still, Invokers are still very strong, guys. This is, especially, I mean, also this version of the Invoker's pretty cool because a lot of people didn't play it, and I was probably the only that I saw online that kind of took the Invoker in this way. I'm sure there are other people, but just, you know, a lot of people were going on the other, they were doing those other ascendancies for Invoker, and like the build felt really good last league, and now it feels even better because they buffed the ascendancy choices that I was using. All right, whatever. Invokers are stronger, guys. Have fun. But I think this build might be very, very strong as a Monk of Chayula as well, because you don't have to invest so much into mana, because getting all that mana on your gear with this build is actually annoying. And one of the cool things about the Monk of Chayula is you get a lot of mana. And so that's what I want to do. I want to basically have this build, but I'm going to start it off as a Monk of Chayula and try that. We'll see. And the Siphoning Strike build that I have, so the reason why Siphoning Strike was so good on the Chayula Monk last league is because the Chayula Monk, how it was leeching was you still needed to do physical damage, okay? But you had instant leech, which was also powerful. But now what they did is they made the Chayula Monk leech off of all types of damage, but you don't have physical, you don't need to have just physical leech anymore. So my point is like this build could actually be better for the Chayula Monk, and the Siphoning Strike build that I had might actually be better for an Invoker. Anyways, you can mix and match, play around with it. They're fun. What's over here? These guys. Boop, 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 boop. I'm glad I had a chance to show off Flicker Strike in that room. That was really fun. I gotta like just complete this map for completionist sake, guys. You know, and maybe I'll get ripped at the end of the map, and then I'll be really depressed. And then the entire map will be for naught. I think I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine. But as you can imagine, like if I have the same power level of gear as you see from like popular streamers on this build, like it would perform quite well. All right, I'm gonna use one of these checkpoints. Oh, come on. I would like them to have checkpoint. Anyway, whatever. All right, I guess I'm gonna run this checkpoint up over here. Woo! Let's do it. I got 20 seconds left on my charge staff. Let's fuck some dudes up. Go in! Oh, shit. Oh, I thought I was gonna get hurt there. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. It still is super fun to play. And if, you know, you played an Invoker last league but didn't, you know, try out the Elemental Expression and this cast on crit tech that I'm running, it's pretty sweet. You'll notice I just shoot out a bunch of shit. I shoot out Eyes of Winter whenever I crit, and I shoot out those elemental expressions, and there's a lot of freezing stuff going on, a lot of chilled ground. Okay. It's interesting how it still shows the Delirium mirror. I don't think I killed the boss before the Delirium ended. I couldn't even tell if it was up or not. I don't know what's over there. That was a little scary. So you know, you can always back out and poke just like I did there, you know. It was the bitch move to do, but here. Rit. You can always do that stuff too. You got tools. You got a lot of tools with this build, okay? And then again, if you put an unset ring in, you'll have more tools. Let me portal out. I think that was a successful map. Hopefully it recorded it without any stupid delay or tech problems like yesterday. Yeah, so I guess I'll go over my skills that I'm using really quick, but they're going to be in the Mobalytics Guide. It's just going to make this video last longer. So I'm using, you know, more glaciification, the +1, the +1, the +1. These +1s help each other out. So, like, you know, if you get +1 from Fire Mastery, it actually increases the damage the Icy Wave does. What's really cool is that this is a tri-elemental skill, and so it also affects, where is it? It's Ice Strike. This thing right here. Yeah, Rising Tempest, which is really good, so you actually counts as a fire skill and it's shooting out all the time. So, you know, this itself is essentially a 36 more elemental damage up all the time, which is a very strong support. For Ice Strike, I have Rage in Ice Strike. I'm not sure if I want Rage in Ice Strike, but it is what it is. In terms of the jewels, you know, you're not passing over that many jewel slots. But I would suggest a jewel like this with maximum energy shield, maybe crit chance, area of effect, or crit damage, and, you know, stun protection or elemental protection, something like that. And then you want a ruby jewel for the rage on melee hit and rage when you're hit by an enemy. And, you know, if you can get attack damage or stun threshold or something else on that jewel, that would be fine. But you know, I have rage on hit here, and it's, you know, swappable with Stormwave. You probably want like a 6 socket on, or 6 linked on Stormwave. Wind Dancer is inevitable critical, pin, leverage, super critical. So basically, you know, it sticks them to the ground, and because they're stuck to the ground, you have a higher crit chance on them, and on top of that, you have a pretty high crit damage bonus, and it really kind of just blows them up if they hit you. And because, you know, you get added cold damage to everything, and lightning damage because you're an invoker, and, you know, the passive skills on the monk tree, it usually freezes them as well. You got your Herald of Ice, you got Innervate on here, you got Execute, and Ambush, along with Magnified Effect. It's your only Herald. Combat Frenzy, you got Profusion. If you have enough extra Spirit, 10 extra Spirit, you can run Clarity. Stormwave, what I have is Upheaval, Long Shot, Mobility, and Primal Armament. You know, Rage on hit and Primal Armament you can consider swapping over, but I find the Rage on hit nice against bosses, essentially. Because, you know, you have to start the boss fight off usually with Ice Strike. It's a good way to, you know, build up that rage quick. The Charge Staff, you want Persistence, Calling Strike, Blind, Maim, and Blindside. Let me just go over. I think I skipped Ice Strike, which is the most important. You got Martial Tempo, Crescendo, Rage, Rising Tempest, and also Ice Bite. That's what I have on there, okay? Because this freezes things, and, you know, you usually can keep Ice Bite up most of the time on this. You know, you can't stick this on Herald of Ice because Herald of Ice does not freeze stuff. Cast on Critical, I'd want to get this 6 linked as well, but you go Eye of Winter, keep it as minimum level as possible. Also keep your, you know, your cast on Critical. Be careful about leveling it up too much because you're only going to have so many attributes. You're going to only have so much int, and, you know, you're going to be attribute starved probably on this build. So be careful about over leveling these 2 skills. Inspiration, Impetus, and Chain. Now, regarding Inspiration, I don't know if it's actually affects the mana cost on this or not. If it doesn't affect the mana cost on it, you can use a different support, and I'll have the supports listed in the Mobalytics guide. Flicker Strike is also a fun one. Perpetual Charge is what I have on it. Untouchable. Have Cold Infusion on it, so it converts some of that physical damage over to cold, so I can basically freeze with it, which is nice. And I have some Concentrated Effect on there, and also Close Combat. So those are the supports. And again, if you have an unset ring, you get another skill, and I would suggest like Hand of Chayula, you know, with Heightened Curse and Hex Bloom and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's the build. You know, you're gonna get a belt with, you know, 3 charm slots, not one like Dahbadu. I would suggest, you know, the Freeze Charm is the other one. Maybe the Ignite Charm is the third one. Still the same exact prefixes and suffixes for Flask. You know, increase amount recovered, reduce charges per use. I think those are kind of the best combinations. Increase charges, that's fine too. But yeah, that's what the build is. Feel free to ask questions. My attributes are, you know, I'm a little attribute starved. I only have, you know, 185 int and 185 dexterity and 136 int. And the more int that you can work in the build, the more of the elemental expressions will be those icy waves. And you like the icy waves are my favorite one. So when pathing around the tree, try to basically keep your dex at a minimum to meet your skill requirements and your gear requirements, and try to pump up your intelligence as much as possible. And, you know, attribute stats will be nice on this build because that will let you level up more things. And, you know, the more intelligence you get, the more mana you get, and you need mana for this build. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll have linked below in the comment section and in the video description the Mobalytics guide for this build, along with loot filters that you can download for the build. The loot filters that I have are a modified version of the Uber Strict Filter Blade and the modified version of the Very Strict Filter Blade as well. And you can load these up, and basically it's essentially, you know, the Filter Blade, Uber Strict or Very Strict, and you just see more monk items. You know, you see quarterstaffs, and you see, you know, the bases that you want, that sort of stuff. So you can kind of play it a little bit solo self-found, and you don't have to always go to trade to, you know, get your bases that you want to do your own crafting. All right, guys. Well, that's it. If you have any questions or whatever, feel free to post them. I try to get to everyone's questions and heart all of your stuff. I really appreciate all the comments. I'm a small channel. Appreciate the support. All right. Talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.